Hello and welcome. We are live with another episode of the Athletic Mind Unleashed podcast. Today, with me, I have a wonderful woman from the United States. She's called Bracha Goetz, and I hope I got the name right. She will be sharing her story about food and eating and how to eat more mindfully so you wouldn't overeat. She has this personal experience with all this, and I think this is like very unique as I haven't had anybody with a personal experience talking about their relationship with food. And I'm very excited to hear about this, and I think she's also very excited to share her story. So I just want to start somewhere. Can you tell me and the listeners a bit about where it all started, this
Yeah,
relationship with food?
it's interesting. I told you that I've written many children's books, right? Over 40 children's books, but I only wrote one book for adults because I didn't really write the book. I took it from excerpts from my diaries, my journals, my letters. So it actually documents how I developed the food addictions. You could see it gradually happening. I'm holding it up. It's called Nourish the Soul,
Wow.
filling the emptiness within. I read something that you wrote. Where was this that I read it? A Medium article that you wrote for Medium, and you actually had these words in your article. You wrote Nourish the Soul. I was like, wow, I really align with this. This is amazing. So that's
Oh.
what happened. Yeah, this shows how a person can gradually develop food addictions, and they're widespread. I mean, food addictions are probably the most common addiction that there is right now, and all addictions are widespread for the same reason. Our souls are genuinely hungry. We think that emptiness can be filled with externalities, and it never fills us up. The hole gets deeper and deeper because it's not a physical hole,
Mm.
it's a spiritual hole. And when we finally learn what fills that hole, it changes everything. So that's what happened to me. What fills that hole is gratitude. You see me developing the food addictions. It starts at age 12. That's when I started a diary. So it's very gradual. But as I became a teenager, more and more focus on not having enough pleasure in my life and wanting the pleasure to last. And food does that. Food gives you immediate gratification, immediate pleasure. If you feel a scarcity of pleasure in your life, why not just keep eating? Just keep stuffing your face, and then the pleasure will keep lasting. The problem is, it's really a slow death. If you've ever watched My 600-Pound Life, it's a Netflix thing. The,
No.
peop- the people, they all say the same thing. They're terribly overweight, very unhealthy, and they say, food is the only thing giving me pleasure. That's what they're doing, and they just keep it going. So the answer is how to fill your life with lasting pleasure. When I finally found, that's what I'm spreading now to other people as well, because it was a horrible way to live. An addiction, it's a prison, and the walls get narrower and narrower as you get more and more into your addictions. And we don't realize that the walls are made up of our thoughts. And we can actually get out, but we need the way out. And once we have found that, there's no longer a need for the addiction.
Wow, I can totally relate to all this because I love food, and I think at some point I've also had not the healthiest relationship with food, even as a health and fitness coach, even as an athlete and a nutritionist. I have also slipped. I think it's like at some point my thinking just goes off. It stops. Like I stop thinking, and it's okay. I just need this food. I need to just eat a lot. And part of me is okay. What are you doing? But other part is I just need it. I can't stop, and I do feel bad afterwards. And on a rational level, I know that this is not something that I want to do. I'm not doing it like very often. I think when I was maybe the loneliest, I tried to fill myself with food because that was easy pleasure. Food makes you this instant gratification. I do know that I want to work on long term goals And on good days, it is possible. There's still some days when it feels like, but it would be so easy to just eat like loads of ice cream and feel better, even for just a moment. And that's also the reason that I don't have sweets around my house and that kind of stuff. I think it's easier to say no if it's just not here. So I'm
Exactly.
stopping myself on a rational level as well to not eat too much when I'm feeling sad, because I know that this is just a temporary solution. And I think you have discovered this on your own as well.
Exactly. What I found, this is what I love to share. It's called the pleasure ladder. This is, oh, so I read that you had 5 lifestyle tweaks. You have 5 lifestyle tweaks, and I read them and I align with them so much. What's interesting is the pleasure ladder also has 5 levels,
Mm,
which is incredible. So I didn't make this up. This is coming from ancient mystical wisdom. And this is what it explains. The 5 levels, it's comparable to our 5 fingers. In other
mhm,
words, we have the power within our own hands to bring pleasure into our lives. It's not dependent on anybody else. So that's a good reminder, our own hands.
yeah.
And these 5 levels, they correspond to the 5 levels of the human soul. So this is universal. The lowest level of the soul is the part that's attached to our body. So it's all the sensual pleasures, all the natural sensual pleasures. It's healthy food, being in nature, moving our bodies. We wonder, why did these things bring us joy? Because our bodies were designed for this. Our bodies were designed for the natural foods, to be in nature, to enjoy this beautiful world, to move, to dance, to do yoga, to garden, to swim. This is, and when we do these things with gratitude, that's what fills our soul. The gratitude part is the part that actually nourishes our hungry soul. When you eat something like junk food, is designed to be delicious and addictive, while the natural foods are designed to be delicious and nutritious. They actually fill us up with gratitude when we eat them mindfully. We can experience wisdom and the loving compassion that's packed into them. I love to give the example of an orange. It's just one example, but like an orange, first of all, the fruit, they're all green when they're on the trees, because they're still developing. And then when they become the most vibrant colors, they call to us, we're ready. They're bright and beautiful. It's this beautiful orange. I pick it from the tree, and the juiciness is kept, the sweet juiciness is kept in for months with that peel. It's individually packaged with such wisdom and love. And when you finish the orange, you have the seed. And these seeds, these amazing seeds, can become infinite more trees and oranges. It's incredible. If we compare that to an orange flavored tangy taffy, even the wrapper pollutes the environment, and we get pleasure for 1 second, 2 seconds while it's in our mouth, and that's it. It doesn't do anything helpful to our bodies. So the distinction is really clear. That's just the lowest level of pleasure.
Mm.
Should I go through more of these? Whatever
Yeah,
you.
just small note on this side that also if you eat like junk food, your body will still be hungry because you didn't give your body the nutrients that it actually needs. And if you eat the junk, it's okay, it fills you like for fun second, then it's you are hungry again because your body is not really satisfied. You're not giving the nutrition that it needs. And this way you will like continue eating and eating, and if you continue eating the junk, it's very hard to break out of this cycle. And it's much harder to eat. For example, let's just say 500 calories. It's so easy to eat 500 calories in candies, but if you try to do this in oranges, it's gonna be a lot of oranges because this is like
Yes,
wholesome food. It's more volume, it's more nutrients, but it's yeah, it's so different, the nutrient density
great,
and everything.
great point. Exactly. Who's going to sit and eat a whole bag of oranges? And if you do, but a bag of potato chips,
Yeah.
it's designed to be addictive. It's designed to make you want more and more. The oranges are designed to fill you with the, like you said, the great fiber, the water content, all the nutrients, so we don't feel like eating the whole bag of oranges.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen like that. It's designed because all this other stuff, I call it food like substances. It's not really food, because food is what helps your body to maintain its function and to grow in a good way. So these food like substances are designed in the lab to out of greed, not out of loving
Yeah.
kindness. It's a whole different kind of thing.
I think there are even like scientists who are like trying to develop the best crunch for a potato chip, and they're looking at the texture and also like the color. So they really design these products to be very addictive, and you just keep eating them, and that's how they will keep also earning more money because you keep eating, you keep buying, and they keep getting richer. Why?
Exactly. And not having it in your house, like you said, is so great, because then when you're feeling that scarcity of pleasure in your life, you don't have it right there to grab. Instead, you can grab onto something that'll really give you pleasure. You can turn on the music, start dancing, open the window, go outside, feel the nature. If you just do that for 2 seconds, that craving to eat the whole container of ice cream or the whole bag of potato chips, it goes away when you start filling your soul with gratitude. We all have seen how that works. It's amazing. So the more we can remember that, like you said in your article, make it easy. This is what makes it easy. We don't have to put restrictions, don't last. We've been on these crazy diets. It was horrible. And then you just need, afterwards, you have to binge because you haven't had enough. And it's just a terrible way to live. That's how I used to live.
Mm.
So now you live with gratitude. Instead, when you're feeling that scarcity, oh, I need to feel more grateful. I'll go outside, I'll put on music, I'll dance. Or the next step up is love. Now, love, for sure, you think it's dependent on somebody else. But this ancient mystical definition is focus on the virtues of another. That's love. Even in solitary confinement in prison, person could focus on a grandmother that once did a kindness for them, and they're filled with this warm emotional feeling of love. It transforms them and it can inspire them to be better. We can bring love into our lives at any moment by focusing on the virtues of another, and they don't have to be present in our lives right then and there. We can still fill ourselves up with any kindness done to us at any point in time, which is amazing. So, again, it's gratitude, mindfulness. This is how we bring love into our life. And that's an even more lasting pleasure than the natural physical pleasures. But what gives us even more meaning is meaning. What gives us even more pleasure is meaning. Each level up brings more connection, because when we're in addiction, we feel estrangement, cut off, lonely. We feel isolated. So this is what we need. This brings connection, and each level up brings more connection. Doing something good and meaningful in the world, we feel more connection. First, we're connecting to a thing, then to another being, now out into the community. I was on another show, and when I got up to this point, the host said that the other day he was eating pizza and feeling lonely, and he had a whole pie. He ate 2 slices, and he was about to plow through the whole box of pizza. There's a knock on his door, and his neighbor needs his help for 2 minutes. After he helps his neighbor, he comes back and he doesn't want the pizza anymore. What changed? In 2 minutes, he had filled himself up, grateful that he could help somebody else. He
Yeah.
put the rest of the pizza in the fridge for another day.
Yeah,
And
I think that it's important to feel important that somebody
yes,
needs you. That's
yes, we feel grateful that we can give. That builds that connection. You'll see every step up is building more gratitude, more lasting pleasure. And this is surprising. The next level up, more lasting than that, is creativity. When we are in the zone of creativity, like we don't feel like eating or sleeping, we are on such a high, and time doesn't matter at all. It's such a great pleasure. It's when we put a unique part of ourselves into the world. And when we do it with gratitude, it takes away the ego aspect of creativity. We're just giving, we're just channeling through the energy into the world, and it gives us even more gratitude, filling us with pleasure. The highest level of all is called transcendence. It's when we transcend our own limitations, like we break through, like what you were talking about in your article. We make that first crack in a bad habit. That's the hardest crack, doing something new that we haven't done before. And it's when we transcend the limitations between us, like the veils of separation just lift, and we see that we are all connected. We're all connected to the same source energy. That's what's flowing through all of us.
Yeah.
So that's like the highest. So each level up brings more connection, more lasting pleasure, and the price to pay to climb the pleasure ladder is just one thing, and that's gratitude. Gratitude is what fills up our genuinely hungry souls.
So how does this ladder like work in practical life? Are you like always climbing up and down on this ladder, or you like more fixed on one step, or how does it work for you, for example?
Excellent question. It's again what you wrote in your article in Medium. You get in the habit. The more you get in the habit of practicing gratitude, the easier it becomes, because at first it feels really weird. You feel really weird being grateful for an orange, but the more you do it, it creates more joy in your life. When you go on a road, you drive on a road that has not been driven on, it's very gravelly and uneven. Once you keep going on that road, it's so easy. That's what it's like. You need to replace a bad habit with more pleasure, not less. You don't live a life of restriction. You pour in the pleasure, and you do that through gratitude.
Yeah, that's what I also tell my clients when I'm working on their health. I'm always saying focus on the things that you can have, that you can eat. Don't focus on the stuff that you're leaving out, because if you focus on the things that you need to exclude from your menu, they will be holding on to these even more. But if you focus on, okay, I'm not eating the candy anymore, but there are all this beautiful fruit in front of me. What can I do with these, and how can I eat these? And if you just go with this very open mind and you are ready to experiment and discover new fruit, for example, I think it's much easier to switch. Then you will just forget about the candy, forget about the bad stuff by focusing on the better stuff.
Exactly. And we have to play catch up as adults, relearning and unlearning all the stuff. When we would cry as children, we'd be given a lollipop to stuff in our mouth. This is how we learn the wrong ideas about food. That's why I write books for children, Let's Stay Healthy. And this one, like you said, this is called Hashem's Candy Store. It's about what you said, how the fruit are so delicious. They're like, what's as sweet as a watermelon? Nothing. And this is natural and healthy, so much better than a candy bar. And if you want the crunch, you add the nuts. There's so many natural, healthy things in our world. We can get out of the lab and start enjoying that and appreciate that these were all made with such loving kindness to make our lives better. So that's what I do. I teach this to really young children. I try to teach happiness skills as early in life as possible so children can get on that path throughout their whole lives. They'll have those skills.
Wow. And one thing that I want to get back to is that this book that you wrote for adults is based on your diary. You started writing this when you were 12 years old. So it's also like a history and biography of you in a way.
It's like a documentary because you actually go through it with me, like experiencing the person gradually developing the addictions. getting all those confusing messages from our world. I'm sitting there, I'm reading these women's magazines as a teenager, and it's saying you should diet, and then it's giving you a recipe for strawberry shortcake on the next page, and you're just confused. Which message should I be getting? So it's a very confusing way to live. And then when you gain clarity, finally, the clarity has helped me to understand that we're here to be grateful. That's really our purpose here. We've made things so complicated. And even if we've been through trauma or abuse, what we all still need is to nourish our hungry souls. We all still need that, because this shows we all have this shining soul within us. But when we go through stuff in life, it gets covered up and we don't even know that we're still shining. So as we nourish our soul, and sometimes we need help, like you provide help to people, to coach them and in a therapeutic way, help them to remove those layers. People need support, and they need to be nourishing their soul from within with gratitude. That learning that is how you get back to shining again in life.
Yeah, I think people do need some kind of guidance because from what I'm hearing from you, I think you might also discover that you had this thing developing when you were looking at the diary and journals from hindsight, from retrospective. But when you are in the middle of this process and it's happening, you are inside and you don't really understand what is going on. So, how did you even get out of this? Did somebody guide you?
I graduated from Harvard University. So when I was there, I was getting sicker and sicker with these food addictions, but nobody knew. You could not tell from looking at me how I was suffering, because I was on these crazy diets and then I would binge one or the other. And it was a terrible way to live. So, what did I specialize in at Harvard? Of course, I was a psych major, and my specialty was eating disorders and food addictions and all that stuff. So that's what I was studying. I became an expert there, and I brought in great speakers. Here I was. And also, I wrote a chapter in a book that's still used in women's studies courses around the country that I wrote as an undergraduate. So I was doing breakthrough research and getting sicker and sicker, because an intellectual understanding is not enough. That I knew that I was not doing well, but I couldn't get better. It wasn't until actually when I went after Harvard, I went to medical school. And after my first year in medical school, I went to Israel that summer, where I met actually a rabbi who was teaching this ancient Kabbalistic wisdom. And it just went right into my soul. This is when I learned about the pleasure ladder. And I said, this is exactly what I need. Now I understand. And as I integrated gratitude into my life, I noticed that the addictions were just fading away. Gradually, it was like no longer there. It wasn't needed anymore. Why? Because I was filling up. If I ever still feel the need to overeat, like I feel I got to keep eating, and that happens often, I'll feel, because I'm experiencing the pleasure, and I'll say, oh, I just want to keep eating. The thought will just come into my mind. Is it your body that's hungry or your soul? And right away, I know it. Then I could go and do something else that will bring me pleasure. After years of doing this, it just becomes like an automatic response. You still have the tendency to want to overeat, or let's say you have a different addiction, to overdo that. But then you'll remember, I'll have all different thoughts. Like one of the thought is this, it automatically pops up. If I eat 95 more spoonfuls of this, will I finally feel full? No, you know you won't. You've been through this so many times, and that's not going to fill you up. So then you could get up and replace it with, identify what brings you more pleasure than eating. There's so many other things to do that we just discussed, so many other ways
And I think
to
it's
bring.
also about quality over quantity. It's not necessarily having a lot of specific kind of food, but maybe just eating this good food that you like more mindfully and slowly and consuming less of it, not just everything.
That's the thing. The problem is not eating junk, it's eating it and eating it and eating it because it makes you just want to keep eating way too much of it. That's the hard part. And also, like you said, eating slowly, that is one of the most interesting things. When you don't fill up the next spoonful or take the next bite until you've thoroughly chewed and experienced what's already in your mouth, it's a whole different experience because you savor. That's how you practice savoring and appreciating what you already have. And once you do that often, then you see that spreads out into the rest of your life, and you start savoring what you already have instead of waiting for the next thing to come. We have an ancient saying, who is rich? Those who are grateful for what they have. That's really the definition of wealth in life, appreciating what you already have, what's already in your mouth. Don't be running for the next bite.
Yeah, it sounds like the abundance mindset because we have a lot of abundance around us. We have all these foods that are available and accessible for us. So we can just cherish what we have and we don't have to feel this lack because lack is emptiness. And if we
Exactly.
start focusing on the lack, I think it's very hard to feel this. So just cherish what we have.
Exactly. Yes, and that lack is a part of us. It's put into us. This is an amazing thing. Where is that book? My newest book. I don't see it here. Don't read this book. It's about that little voice, that inner critic in our head. We all have it, getting us to focus on what we're lacking. It's also put inside of us. Why? This book took me many years to write till I got this wisdom. It's like a dumbbell. Every time we push off that thinking, we grow our gratitude muscles. So
Mm.
we naturally tend to think about what we're lacking. If we push it off, then that's how we get stronger and stronger in gratitude. So expect that. Expect that there's a voice inside your head trying to get you to be miserable all day long. When you become aware of that, then you have the ability to make it just go away, just push it right off of you. Could you imagine teaching this to young children? If we had this in our childhood, that understanding, how different life would be.
I really think gratitude is a muscle. It is something that grows if you work on it. If you don't use it, you will lose it. So that's why we need to be grateful every day. I haven't been so consistent in the recent week, but I do have this habit of journaling every day a little bit. And I always write down three things that I'm grateful for. So sometimes it is okay, I'm just grateful that I have a home, that I have my cats, or something small that happened, and I try to find these things and there is always something. And I think by just writing this down it becomes more real as well because it's not just wandering around somewhere, you're just putting it down on paper, and then it's okay also sitting here and I can just take the journal and I can just also go through all the things that I have been grateful for if I should forget, for example.
There was a study done exactly about what you're saying. They studied people that won a lottery, millions of dollars, and they studied people that, God forbid, became paralyzed. And they found that their happiness level 6 months later was the same as it was before they won the lottery or before they became paralyzed. But those that practiced gratitude, keeping a journal, like you said, writing down, I never did this, but it's a great thing to do, to write down three things that you're grateful for. Those people 6 months later had a higher level of happiness. That lasted. It's not that thing that you attain, or it's not what happens to you. It's our mind reflecting on it. How our attitude of gratitude is what changes everything. That's really our purpose for being here. And we've gotten way out of that garden. We've gotten way out of the beautiful garden here. And we forget the abundance, like you said, of gifts designed especially for us. The orange that we eat was designed especially for you to eat it. There's so much loving kindness packed into it because you're eating it. It was designed for you with love.
And about abundance, I've been listening to like meditations and hypnosis audios as well. And I keep remembering, I think it was maybe Bob Proctor who said that there's abundance all around you. Nature is abundant. So when I
Yes,
look out of the window, I can see abundance of trees, abundance of houses.
yes,
I have an abundance of stuff at my home. My fridge is
yes.
abundantly full. So even if I might think, okay, I don't have everything that I want, I still have abundance. I open my wardrobe, okay, abundantly full of clothes. So even these tiny things, if you start thinking about it, there's abundance all around you.
When I was at my lowest point in life, when everything seemed totally dark, I just looked at the tree outside my window. That's it. That's all I had to go on. And I saw there's this beautiful tree. This was created for beauty. This is an amazing design. I'm just going to focus on this tree when everything else seems dark. That's exactly right. And we are like trees. We create those roots. And by rooting down, that's how we can rise up. The root, gratitude stabilizes us and it helps us be able to branch out in life.
I think your gratitude is like very grounding, and if you're grounded in your gratitude, you can do more and you can fill your potential and purpose as well by using the creativity and all the other things on your pleasure ladder as well. But
Exactly.
I'm now curious, so about food. So what do you eat today, like right now? What's your daily menu like? If you're maybe no longer addicted to food and you can control what you want. So what do you enjoy right now? What do you even eat?
My favorite breakfast is smoothies with bananas, any kind of fruit that I have in the house, and I throw in nuts and seeds. And then I put in oats, and it's so filling. I love it. It's sweet, it's delicious. It fills me with gratitude till lunchtime. It's just like such a filling and wonderful breakfast. Yeah.
Hmm, beautiful. And like you said, it fills you with gratitude, so you're also nourishing your soul,
Yes,
like your,
exactly.
like your book.
Yes, that's the secret ingredient. When you eat with gratitude. And when you eat the natural foods filled with vitality and it gives you vitality, it's so much easier to feel grateful.
Mm,
Yeah.
true. And I'm also curious, do you sometimes feel like, okay, I'm not feeling at my best? I would like to have something, I don't know, sweet. Does it still keep coming back to you?
Yeah, it's just not the same pull. It doesn't call my name in the same way. Can't remember when I ate a whole that's what I used to do, eat the whole container of ice cream, eat the whole box of chocolate chip cookies, because the thought will come to me much sooner now. If I have an extra 2 of something, I'll say, "Come on, are you really gonna feel good after eating? Are you really gonna feel gratitude? Are you really gonna feel energized?" It won't last that long. So I can't remember when I last had a real binge like that because
Mm.
it's been years. Of course, I can overeat something, but the thought will come to me pretty soon that this is not the way to bring lasting pleasure into my life
Mm.
anymore. Yeah.
And what would be your take on buffet restaurants where you can have all you can eat? I try to avoid this because I know that my self control might not be the best there because I want to try everything. So it's better just don't go there.
It's designed for our self-destructive impulse, things like that. It's not really helpful at all because we'll eat from all the aromas and just the sight of it. We will want to eat more than we need, for sure. Our bodies don't need all that excess food. But let's say we're at something like a celebration of some kind, a party. Again, there's tons of excess food around. What should we do? The main thing is to remember this and find the healthy things to eat. Find someone that looks lonely. Try to bring them out. Do something kind for someone else. Step outside. Enjoy the nature. Do something creative. It's an opportunity to focus on other things because we know that will have a negative effect on us. It's not healthy for us to just keep eating. And the more we have that in our brains, the more we practice that, it becomes easier and easier to get away from the snack table and focus on someone else. For instance, like when we're feeling uncomfortable, that's when we'll tend to overeat. Like we're at a party and we hardly know anybody, so we'll just go back to that old way of just stuffing it in our face to feel pleasure. And the recognition, like you were saying, the awareness that we're doing that will help us so much. The awareness is more than half of the struggle. Once we have that awareness, we go, oh, I'm just stuffing my face because I feel uncomfortable now. I really want to feel grateful and joyful. So I'm going to go do something else. That's really it. To overcome a habit, we need a greater and more lasting pleasure to sub in, greater than all that stuff on the table. Bring in a different pleasure. And now we know how to do it.
That's very true. I try to get away from the snack table usually when I'm at an event. I either go and dance or talk to other people, just get away from the table because if you're at the table and bored, it's so easy to fall into this
Yes.
trap. Even if I know that it's not good for me, it's still
Yes.
some kind of primal part of my brain takes over and the hand just goes
Yes.
and reaches.
Exactly. It's normal and natural. That's what we are. So we want to uplift ourselves over our bodies. Our souls are a higher part of us. And it's the higher part of our brain. Like you said, the lower brain stuff. I'm hungry. I got to keep eating. You're fearful. There's not enough pleasure. So we switch. We take that one moment. Is it my body that's hungry or my soul? And then the prefrontal cortex starts, the neurons start flowing here, and our higher selves can move away from the table and dance and go outside and find someone lonely to befriend. We can do all these things that'll bring us much more lasting pleasure than the momentary pleasure of that snack food.
I'm sometimes even annoyed or irritated that many major holidays, at least in Estonia, like Midsummer, which is in June, and Christmas, they revolve so much around food. And
Yes,
I have rebelled against this, and whenever it's possible, I will volunteer to cook for that event. So this way I can control the food choices better way. I can put
yeah,
some healthier food on the table. And very often, for example, in my own family, my sister is always worried maybe we don't have enough food on the Christmas table. I'm like, no, we don't have to have 10 different kinds of foods. Let's just have a
yes,
little bit. It doesn't have to be a food orgy. We don't
yes,
have to overeat. The
yes,
Estonian Christmas traditions are like you have to eat 7 times in the evening. So that's traditional. But I'm like, but it doesn't make sense. It's not good for you. It's not good for your body.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. The more we get the word out, the world will slowly evolve back to when we ate because we needed it to survive and to give us pleasure. The food could have been tasteless, but no, it is designed to bring us pleasure, and that's great. So let's stick to the whole foods that were designed with loving kindness and wisdom and not overdo it. And the more we shine out in our own lives, the more people will see this is a wonderful way to live.
So, do you also work with people to help them with their food choices or something?
Yeah, people come to my website and I do consultations with people one on one and I give presentations in different places. Yeah, I do all this, whatever can get these important messages out into the world
Hmm.
because it just makes everybody have a more wonderful life.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, I will also put this in the description as links and everything. But where can people mostly find you? What's the best way to contact you, for example?
Yes, my children, they actually run the website. You can download a free copy of the pleasure ladder, which with much more information than these basic things. People can put it on their cupboard, their refrigerator, till you get it into your head to remind you all the time that there's, like you said, abundance of ways to bring pleasure into our lives at any moment. So, yeah, just go to the website. You can download the pleasure letter and see there's like right now 43 books, but there's many more coming out. There's so many wonderful ideas to spread into this world. So it's a big joy.
It sounds
Yeah.
like you're spending a lot of time on this creativity step of the ladder.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, I love it. Yeah.
Thank you for this. Thank you for sharing your experience and showing us a little glimpse of your world. That was refreshing.
I I hope it helps people, if even for one moment, any moment that a person is being grateful is a moment they're not being miserable. So we just got to keep adding on these moments. Thank you so much for this great opportunity. And I know that you're doing wonderful work, because everything I read about you, I just align with all the wonderful messages that you're spreading into our world. Thank you so much.
So, finishing off with gratitude. Thank you.